fish
Well,
in this case.
all you, I mean, I really like your ideas, your historical comparison, your experience. I will ask you one question, which I did not want to ask you, but I will ask you. And last question will be concerning the transition, the future. Before last question, I want to ask the following question. Before our interview, you told me about the information war.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that it's not maybe your and my professional field, but going to media, speaking with media, with public figures, with broadcasters, we are in information.
Yes.
And we accept information, and we give, and we are giving information. How you see the problems in this field? Because it's very crucial.
It is. It is. That's it. So,
If you speak about English-speaking audience.
yes, the English-speaking world is there's a lot of transition. There's a lot of flux in the information sphere because there are certain things where people have been lied to, and everyone's, unfortunately, it's also very volatile emotionally because there are people who have chosen. They've kind of tied themselves to certain information sources, and they've said, "I'm going to trust this information source no matter what they tell me."
Yeah, it's like stock exchange.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm going long on CNN, or I'm going long on YouTube. But the issue is that in that information sphere, people have gotten so emotional about it and so partisan that they don't look at anything else. And the problem is like basically your worldview often in the West is going to be entirely shaped by your sources of information. And the Russians have always been very good at informational warfare.
Propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda. That's it was a tool of the
Soviet
Russian
propaganda,
Empire.
yeah.
The Soviets, I believe, perfected it.
Yeah, and then it modernized by.
More or less, although they're still running the same playbook.
Okay.
They lie the same way. Because I think after the breakup of the Soviet Union, really the best parts of the Russian Empire all left. The parts that had the real brain trust, we'll say. And so Russia could kind of continue reading from that old playbook, but I don't think that they can add very much to it, with exceptions. Obviously, there are always exceptions. However, we had some early gains in the information sphere in the beginning because everyone was paying attention to Ukraine and they were willing to listen to Ukrainians because it was Ukraine being invaded. As things settled in, basically as soon as it was Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. My knowledge of celebrities is terrible, but it was at that award show, and that made big news, and that just turned the page on the news. And since then, we've been on a gradual. Every once in a while, there's a little bump up, but gradual decline in media attention in Ukraine, and that has been a disadvantage for us because then people start defaulting back to the old narratives, and the old narratives were installed very early by the Soviet Union. For example, the way that they lie about Ukrainian patriots, the way that they lie about about Ukrainian nationhood, because you'll hear a lot Ukrainian nationhood. Oh, Ukraine as a nation only existed since 1917, and then it's like, well, hang on. There's treaties from the 16th century that were signed by Bogdan Khmelnytsky. In fact, the whole toxic relationship between Muscovy and Ukraine started that long ago. A polity of people and a nation of people has existed here for 2,000 years. It's not since 1917, but the Soviet narrative is the one that's installed because it's simpler, and it is and just by repetition. And so the problem that's facing us now is kind of disrupting that, breaking back into that information cycle. What we spoke about specifically was there was a media company in America called Tenant Media.
Yeah, it's famous.
Yeah. They're relatively on they do a lot of YouTube. That's their big thing. But someone who doesn't spend a lot of time on YouTube, maybe from older generations, will not have heard of them. But it was proven they received $10 million in financing from RT, Russia Today, and it was a big. I'm going to say it. It was a big failure on our side that when that was exposed, our influencers, our say,
Public figures.
public
Yeah.
figures didn't immediately jump